So we'll keep the Ashe nice and healthy. It's not too bad with the Nocturne as well, especially if you ult the Nocturne as he jumps into the team.
I just realized my mic has been muted this whole time. I am so sorry.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. Literally everybody missed out. Oh, jeez. All right.
Really... It's just been me?
Just been... All right. Well, I guess I'll have to go through that whole spiel. I made a comment about heavy as the crown, yada, yada, yada. Big Bird Club, want to tie for first. Glacier Ascent, want to get a win. Damn it, man. I forgot. I thought I had unmuted. I unmuted in Discord and not on stream. All right. Well, that's a blunder.
It happened to me in the last stream as well. Don't worry about it. I think our audience is used to it at this point. There's always going to be some kind of minor inconvenience. But yeah, essentially, this is looking like a good draft so far. Really for both teams. I feel like both teams have a lot of ways to actually start fights. Of course, Glacier Ascent has their Ashe Arrow and Nocturne combination, and likewise on BBC we've got the Wukong, Mel, Seraphine. I mean, all three of them have the an ability to actually get out and reach the other enemy team. Just curious to see which one they actually end up pairing bottom. I know that you were talking about dual AP bot lane not being as successful in this league, but I feel like it is one of those lanes that can be swapped. You can run Mel mid if the matchup is better for you, and then also put Seraphine if that ends up being stronger. So the Invasa picked up for Glacier Ascent, so pretty early pick.
I'm curious to see, kind of going off that point, what Glacier Ascent wants to put into the Mel. Obviously, they've saved it for the very last counter pick. They want to get their full options. There's a number of champions that can kind of duel or fairly heavily in that lane. If you just want to go straight control mage, you could go something like a Malzahar or an Orianna. If you want to go something very, very poke heavy, you could try and get yourselves a Xerath there. Or you could just completely play out of that matchup and instead just go Galio and completely ignore having to try to go AP for AP. I will say that I think Glacier does need a more reliable source of magic damage right now, and so I don't expect them to go the Galio, just because they would be then full AD, and that would make Bidberg's club itemization very, very easy. Darius, the pickup, though, into that Mbessa, that is not a matchup we've seen for a while.
Yeah, not a matchup we've seen. I am excited to see it. I really hope that we actually get some nice engagements top lane, but the Cassidy picked up for BBC, so indicating that the Mel and Seraphine are going bot lane. Cassidy picked up this quickly with the team comp that Glacier Ascent have. I feel like, we've talked about this before. Cassidy really should be one of those champions that you are not first picking. It is better suited as a counter pick. I feel like if you're on Glacier Ascent, you pretty much can just lock in Annie here, and it's a pretty easy game for you. But Victor going to be picked up a fairly straightforward mid laner, pretty safe into Cassidy, although Cassidy will have an edge up as the game progresses.
All right, first strike Cassidy. That is not a rune set that we have seen on Cassidy before, but there's a first time for everything. And folks, we're on to the Rift. Game number 1, as Blackmage just said. GA, they would like to put a stop to their losing ways. BBC, they would like to show BP that just because they are theoretically the favorites does not mean that the standings says that they're alone. And I'm curious now, because, first strike... Cassidy, probably looking towards level 3 to where he can really start to use that. I'm curious, how do you feel about Mr. Sifil here going first strike?
Feels kind of cursed, to be honest. I feel like if Sifil gets close enough to actually trigger the first strike, to get gold back in a meaningful way, because right there we just saw it only netted him 2 gold.
Yeah.
A meaningful burst means that you're in range of the Victor slow field, so that could immediately result in like an automatic stun, and then you just get cooked in that trade. So I don't know. I don't really like it. I guess if you hit 6, it's a lot better.
Sure.
But until then, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I worry about that too is especially in the short trades, like Victor's short trades is actually just as good in my opinion as Cassidy's short trades, just because you're getting into melee range, and that's exactly what Victor wants in terms of throwing down stun field. Now, once you reach level 6 for Sifil, it's a little less worrisome, just because I can just blink my way out of this. But until then, it's gonna suck as a matchup, and so I wonder, for Sifil, if it wasn't just better to go a different rune set. Obviously, Phase Rush gone now, so won't be benefiting from that. Chicken Thuggy and Aqua. Oh, they want to get a little bit closer. Glacier forced to flash out, but it was flash for flash. Or no, sorry. Glacier forced to expend barrier, rather, as Aqua was the one to expend flash.
Yeah, this is worth it, especially in a poke lane. Their whole goal is to blow all these summoners as early as possible so that it makes it extremely hard to contest waves. Oh man, Glacier is just not going to have a good time in this lane, and the recent buffs to Seraphine definitely aren't going to help.
I'm going to be turbo depressed if BBC is the reason we start seeing more double AP bot lane. It's like, keep them in the mid lane. I don't need to see more mages on the bot side. You know, everyone's got a place. Everything's got a thing. Riot, stop messing with champions to encourage this kind of stuff. You know, I don't know. Makes me a little salty.
I mean, you know, there's a problem when the entire AD carry tier list, you know, the very first page is nothing but mages.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. There is not an AD carry on the tier list until number 12, which is Ashe.
That's depressing.
Oh, never mind. Smolder's number 1. My mistake.
Smolder's number 1. Okay, well, at least we got a Smolder.
Yeah. There's Smolder, and then 10 more champs, and then there's Ashe.
It's only the most played ADC globally across every professional and amateur and rec league, but, you know, but it's, I think, like, the weight of, like, Smolder being an AD champ and, like, oh, yay, there's, like, you know, an actual AD ADC is overshadowed by the fact that there are 12 freaking mages underneath that.
Yeah, and even Smolder, you know, Smolder in and of itself is pretty much just a mage in an AD carry's clothing.
Yeah.
You know?
If you really think about it.
Yeah, how it's played, how its stats, it's just, I don't know. It doesn't feel like an actual AD carry to me.
Do you ever miss the Soraka mid lane days? You ever miss those days?
No, I have sanity still, and no, I don't miss that at all. It's the same thing as APE.
Oh yeah, APE gone. Yeah, those were the good old days where League wasn't a solved game, and you literally could play whatever you wanted in any lane, and you wouldn't get banned by Drew Levin just for having an idea.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think of Tank Eve top lane just stacking the Sunfire capes. Yeah, Arya might be caught here, especially if that snare falls. She's not going to be making it out of that one. But shit, she's able to just walk away.
Yeah, we'll be able to walk away, which is good. It just looked there sketchy there for a moment, because if Aqua's even just a little bit closer, that starts to get real sketchy being close to that tower. So needs to be, I think, a little bit more cognizant of positioning. That's one of the things that catches out bot lanes like this, is just not being smart about where you're standing. Curious. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
I was going to ask, jungler-wise, both these guys are sort of even. I mean, obviously, it's a 5 CS difference between Sunny Waffle and Dread Joker, but the big thing for me is, like, neither of these junglers are going to get active super early unless there's just, like, an opportunity that's too good to pass up, because they both want level 6. And I'm curious where your opinion is on the more valuable level 6, because in my opinion, in terms of, like, maybe a little bit larger of a skirmish, then probably Sunny Waffle comes out ahead. But if it's just pure lane game, then I think Dread Joker is kind of the champion on that Nocturne that you want to have.
Yeah, I think it depends on the lane. I think if it's in bot lane, you're right. I think Dread Joker and Glacier can combo up a nice gank fairly easily. But the problem is that there's a lot of disengage on the side of BBC. Sunny Waffle, Chicken Thuggy, they're going to be able to dissuade any attack fairly quickly. Dragon taken, meanwhile, by BBC, so good for subjective, but I think Dread Joker's just trying to farm 6 as fast as possible.
I agree. And I think to your point, too, about, like, match dependent, I think one of the nice things, at least for Dread Joker, is the fact that Aqua, unless Aqua's Johnny on the spot to throw down that snare, Chicken Thuggy is going to have to commit, like, a full, and then, like, even, too, I think Chicken Thuggy as well, unless he has that snare stacked up as well in terms of the passive in order to get the double cast of it.
Double E.
Yeah. I think if those things aren't en route, then, like, he just gets to ignore Encore. If you're not hitting him with some other, like, dedicated form of CC prior to that, then it's just the gank is free for Dread Joker. So I think once he reaches level 6 for both Aqua and Chicken Thug, it gets to be, okay, make sure that we're, you know, at least trying to account for some way to lock down Nocturne, assuming that he's going to gank our lane.
I feel like Nocturne into a double mage lane, especially mages that have, you know, multiple poking abilities, it's going to be really easy for them to pop that spell shield as he's flying in. I feel like you get stopped really quickly unless you have Glacier and Arya right there helping. So it's going to be a matter of positioning. Glacier and Arya are going to have to be really in the danger zone in order to get kills guaranteed by Nocturne.
Yeah. I gotta say,
man.
I like what I'm seeing. Is Qwerty's just gonna throw out the ultimate? It's not gonna kill Sifil, but Qwerty eating way too many tower shots. Not sure why he was stepping there, but yeah, nowhere to go. Dread Joker just gonna go ahead and clean that one up. May find himself on the wrong side of Wukong now, so we'll try and walk on out of there. As Sunny Waffle, let's see if he spots Dread Joker here. Does know he's in the area and just is just going to escort him out. We're not expecting anything crazy to happen just because the rotates are available.
No, he's out.
Yeah.
Unless they actually try to
unless
fight
they
right here,
walk.
which would be such a mistake.
Yeah, unless he just walks right up next to Inbred Loser, which, my God, would that be a decision? And by making a decision, also staying to clear away the ward might have also been a decision. Sunny Waffle.
Yeah, this is silly. I don't know why that was.
He's going to get out, but it wasn't. Oh, and maybe not even might get out. Gets momentary stunned up. Once you get underneath the turret and does so. Yeah, that's a little bit of a weird chase there. And now Sunny Waffle, we were just about to flame Dread Joker for being on the wrong side of the Sunny Waffle. Now it might potentially be on the wrong side. All right, there's a lot of people on the wrong side of multiple plays here. Oh, nice check by Paul, though, to make sure that they got Sunny Waffle. Ooh, caught him through the clone. Meanwhile, the Glacier trying to run away. Ultimate comes out from Aqua, and they trade 1-for-1 there in the end, but still 2 kills over. Man, Blackmage, that was a little bit of a clown fiesta right there. Just that long, goofy chase through a jungle.
Yeah, at first I feel like Dread Joker, really overstepped his boundaries and kind of. Oh, okay, we're seeing it again.
Oh, Flash from Arya. Silful. Yeah, you got to try and get out of here. He's going to get polymorphed. Doesn't have access to the flash now. Wants to try and ulti over the wall and will manage to get to safety, but had to burn a lot to do it. Good rotation from Arya to see that her mid laner was going to be a little bit of trouble there, so good comms.
Yeah, really good play. QWERTY calling out that he needed help getting that lane push. The lane was in a really bad state for him to actually go be there, so calls Arya up. They're able to push that late wave in and almost got a kill out of it as well. But yeah, like we were saying, Dread Joker just overstaying is welcome. Eventually gets chased down by Sunny Waffle, and then yeah, the exact same thing happens to Sunny Waffle, where he just kind of overstays and almost ends up getting turned on it because of it.
Yeah. I think GA doing a decent job right now in this early game. I mean, some of it's a little sloppy. Some, you can see some weird decision-making things going on, like that jungle chase was a great example of that. But I think in terms of, trying to navigate the first 10 minutes, decent enough job. Like, they've got advantages in the mid lane, which is working well for them. Jungler's got a kill. A kill's already gone down onto QWERTY as well. So that'll feel really nice for the Victor to kind of more effectively trade into the Caston. And so I think for them, it's just start to add the next pieces to this puzzle. Start to, chain together a couple of mutual objectives. Maybe try and grab yourselves a Herald. I don't think that they'll have access to the Grubs just because Inbred is pushing so heavily in this top side. But, the opportunities are there for GA to do something.
Yeah, their jungle mid are definitely playing very, very good League of Legends right now. But at the same time, your top lane and your bot lane are suffering because of it. So top lane has a 20 farm CS deficit. Same thing in the bot lane, including a kill. So bot lane for BBC much stronger in the current state of the game. But it looks like that's not going to matter because the top objective is what they're looking for. Yeah,
let's see what they want to get here. Is the Grub's going to be momentarily forgot about? Flash for Flash. Inbred wants to try and knock down Dread Joker, and he does. Paul very, very healthy in this one, though, so we'll trade 1-for-1 there. Chicken Thuggy has gotten involved on the backside, and QWERTY just wants to create some space to do a little bit more work and does manage to do so. Sithel now has to ulti away. Great fight from GA. Great objective stop. They won't be able to go grab the Grubs right now, but they do stop BBC from grabbing them.
Yeah, really nice play from GA, playing around their carries effectively. Mbesa just putting on an absolute show during that entire team fight. Did so much damage in the back line. Inbred Loser and Sunny Waffle didn't last too long during that fight. And, of course, QWERTY just doing a lot of damage over the top. So really good rotations all the way around for the side of Glacier Ascent.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be another one of the building blocks that they're going to have to continue to try and focus on, is just making sure that they're moving together and that the vision at least is clear. It's okay to even make a wrong call as long as you're making it together. Then at least you can, try and commit for something. It looks like they're going to be trying committing for this dragon. See what else they can get. As I don't think BBC wants to let this go if they can avoid it.
Yeah, BBC should be looking to get some vision here, but it almost looks like they're just going to leave it go. Yeah, let it go and just trade it for the top objective.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think that's the worst trade for them either, because they had the first drag. So I mean, losing this one,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it doesn't really mean anything for them.
Yeah. I think overall probably the better play. Why risk going even near the dragon if your jungler's already in the top side? So.
I'm curious. I want to hit you with this one. So, Inbred, he's on that Darius, which obviously, as you highlighted earlier, it's already getting a fairly significant lane advantage. You know, it's about 30 CS difference between those two. As the game goes on, you know, if you're GA, you have a number of targets that you're going to have to be cognizant of in these team fights. Obviously, Sunny Waffle is one of the biggest ones, making sure that you're prioritizing marking that Wukong so that way you're not getting completely destroyed in team fights. And then Sifil's another one in terms of his ability to dive the backline. Inbred is not necessarily the most tanky champion in the Darius, but if he starts to get a lot of kills, he becomes a significant team fight threat in terms of the damage he does. So I'm curious, like, from your perspective as Aqua now getting slowly run down by Glacier, I don't think that they have the kill pressure. It does manage to root the Ashe underneath the turret.
Glacier needs to be careful. That is a strong execute.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, not enough stacks, so we'll just walk away.
Yep, not enough stacks.
But they do need to back off. But the question I was going to ask, you know, if Inbred starts to get, you know, more kills, and if he starts to kind of run away with some of these fights, you know, if you're GA, do you maybe, you know, switch your focus to try and knock down that Darius? That way he's just not, you know, drain sustaining your entire team fight, or do you mostly stick in to try and knock down Sifil and Aqua? Because it's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't, right?
Well, Glacier Ascent has a very awkward... Okay.
Well, this would be a way to do it, is just perma-gank the Darius and then never let him get ahead. That's a... Okay, never mind. We don't have to worry about that question. They're just going to solve it for us. Chicken Thuggy. Oh, nice double root to make sure that the follow-up is not there. Sifil just going to take a peek, but won't be doing anything about this, as these two members of GA are going to walk on out. Sunny Waffle has joined, though. Flash over the wall for him, going into the Cyclone. Sifil's here to provide a little bit of backup for it. Not much he can do except to try and get underneath the turret. So Lulu will fall in the end, so a little bit of an overextension for GA gets punished. Forty needs to be careful. There's three here. He flashes forward to get the kill on the Chicken Thuggy, but gives his life for it. That's not the trade you wanted. Blackmage getting a little antsy down there.
Yeah, great set of plays by BBC, really ensuring that they capitalize on some of the positioning mistakes from Glacier Ascent. It looks like we may even get another mistake on Paul.
Oh my God, did you see that apprehend? Did you see him pull that right back in? My God, Paul thought he had the movement, had the tech, and he absolutely did not. He was downloaded. We're going to hit the replay button just to see that one again. As Blackmage break it through as we get at the end of that team fight.
Yeah, so just coming off the back of this overstay by the side of GA, you know, Arya ended up getting chased down by Sunny Waffles. Quartercube trying to flash forward to get some kind of advantage back for themselves, ends up getting the kill onto Seraphine, but is traded back to Sifil, so that doesn't feel like a good trade at all. Meanwhile, on the top side, Paul just overstays a little too long, does not give any respect to the Darius movement speed that he's got built up from the home guards, ends up just pulling him right back in as he tries to dash out. The execute does so much damage because of all the bleed stacks, and he just absolutely gets massacred. A ton of wins all the way around for BBC there, and showing why they're at the top of the standings for a reason.
Yep. In the interim, when we were in that replay, Arya stepped a little too close to BBC's bot side turret and got CC'd up and killed. So we talked about earlier, the positioning. You can't just go wherever you want when you've got this much CC available on the side of BBC. So G8, they need to be a little bit more conscious of that. There's opportunity. Oh, see, now the positioning goes both ways, however, and you cannot just be there when there's a Nocturne, Chicken Thuggy. You may be a hardened gangster and, you know, a little bit of a criminal of the chicken nugget stealing variety, but that doesn't mean you can go where the space is dark.
Yeah, just gets punished for overstepping into.
He's gonna kill Paul. He's dead. Surely he's dead, right?
Yo, that was actually so sick.
That was sick.
Gets out because of that ultimate. It was going to be so sick.
He's got to die. He's got to die. Can't style on him. He's aura farming right now, but it's only aura farming if he gets in. Oh, why did you go back, buddy? Why didn't you just keep walking? Ow. Paul, you could have had the aura, man. Yep, steps back in.
It was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, the ultimate onto the clone, you know, that's probably wasn't on purpose, but definitely.
Well, it had to have been because he would have had to have targeted it, right?
Is it targeted? I think it's just like you aim it.
Well, but I think it has to. But I think it has to make connection with something when you aim it, doesn't it? Does it not?
No, of course. But I think what was happening is that he was, he was just aiming for Sunny Waffle in general.
Oh, okay. I'm saying you're saying he didn't mean to target the clone. He just thought it was the actual. Okay, I see what you're saying.
But by virtue of targeting the clone, it was actually a better ultimate because now Sunny Waffle isn't on top of him.
Yeah, he went further away.
Right. No, I think the Glacier Ascent is, we look at the lane phase. It's like, okay, yeah, Dread Joker's getting a lot of good ganks off. Glacier Ultimate is working well with this combination. Paul and Dread Joker working together pretty well. Curdy Cube It's all going well for GA, right, in this lane phase. However, I fear their team fight capability. If Nocturne dives in, all you really have to follow him up is like, you have to be like right on top of the Nocturne when he's actually engaging. They don't have extreme range
Other
on
than
the
the
side.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
Right. So I feel like there's a lot of ways for BBC to kind of stall out fights, and now you have to basically watch out for the flanking Darius, the flanking Kassadin. Aqualuma and Chicken Thuggy are going to be able to disengage very well, especially if Sunny Waffle is near them. And yeah, it's gonna be a problem looking out for this Darius. I feel like Arya really has her work cut out for her. She's really gonna have to use a lot of her CC on the Darius and Kassadin. She's got to decide between the two because both of them are going to be looking to take out the backline.
Yeah. Well, and I think theoretically too, I think the default combination for GA, because they didn't draft a ton of like great ranged engage to help out Dread Joker, is you're kind of just throwing the wild growth onto Dread Joker just to get him, that size and its survivability. But because there's not a lot of follow-up other than the Ashe ulti, if you go in and the rest of the team for BBC just absorbs that engage and then focuses you down, well, now it's a 5v4, and you don't have a lot to fall back on if you're GA. So I think, exactly like you highlighted, they need to be very careful about their positioning and making sure that they're playing around aggressive vision and that they're because I'm trying to highlight, there's a massive checklist of things, just like you highlight. You got to, make sure that you see Darius. You got to make sure that the Wukong is flanking you. You got to make sure that you can see Sifil. And it's like, oh, and then by the way, Aqualuma and Chicken Thuggy are just constantly poking you. As this Lulu's had her back stopped like 3 times in a row, I think, and now that's going to be the flash against your Chicken Thuggy. They managed to grab QWERTY. He will be going down to that mount side, but does manage to throw down the Arcane Storm. Arya buys him just a little bit of time, but it's not enough. Inbred Loser kills the Lulu underneath the turret. And the team fight's going away. GA, this is what we talked about. It's all the little things you have to be worried about if you're GA, and we just saw that in that little skirmish.
Yeah, Arya ended up blowing her ultimate on to QWERTY Cube to try to keep him alive. Also used a lot of the CC on the attackers there, and because of that, Darius had free reign to just run straight up to Arya, destroy her, and would have kept going if the turret wasn't there.
Yeah, and that's the concern that we highlighted coming to full fruition. And I think, as much as some of the parts of the draft for GA made sense, one of the things that we highlighted very early on is we wanted to see some other form of engage drafted with it. Something like a Twisted Fate or a Galio, a Shen, just, some ability to follow up with an Nocturne or provide additional safety. And I think given that GA did not draft that, I think now they're kind of stuck in this position where they don't really have any good answers to what BBC wants to do for the rest of this game, because BBC, they have excellent ways to absorb the Nocturne gank, to turn it around, win these team fights. And so I think now if you're GA, you're kind of stuck with this and you're just super reliant on BBC making a mistake.
Yeah, I think BBC, they do have some clear engage tools, right? You just, Chicken Thuggy throws out the ultimate, Sunny Waffle goes in. Yep. Like that's your engage, right? But they're more than happy to just have these fights span out, right? They don't care about engaging. And so the more that GA plays this passive waiting game and, kind of just fighting them face to face, the farther they're going to fall behind. They really need to be proactive and look for some aggressive picks.
Yeah. And for the side of GA right now, too, they're not even getting anything really across map. They're not heavily pushing for turret plates, top, side, bot, and mid, all turrets, with the majority of their plates. And so this has kind of been, well, I say the mid lane. Mid lane's kind of got some healthy damage. We haven't seen it in a little while, but QWERTY's been working on it. But, I mean, that's the closest thing that they have to being able to take another neutral objective for a while. They did grab that second dragon in the interim, but, I mean, it's not addressing the siege right now that BBC have.
Yeah. Kassadin build. Almost fully online. It is going to be the build path that I thought it would be. Rod of Ages into the Mana Moon. Oh my goodness, that damage is so disgusting.
This is what I was worried about, was that Darius just getting out of hand, and now it is. I mean, not to interrupt your point, but like, who's going to deal with Inbred now, unless it's like 5 people?
So I like this engage here, but watch how fast they're able to just get out of there. Oh wow, a lot of damage done because the arrow comes in.
Yeah, they picked up one. I think the range of that arrow helped a lot too, because the CC chain was just enough to lock down Chicken Thuggy there. But like, also look at what they had to invest to get that. They had to invest a couple ultimates, and now Sunny Waffle may be trying to look for an angle of his own. The Kassadin's going to teleport in.
Oh, Kassadin.
This is what we talked about. Too many things to keep track of. Glacier going to get a kill of his own. It's ultimately going to be a 1-for-1 trade. It's still not what GA wants. They need more for the investment they're getting, and right now it's just not coming to fruition.
Yeah, it really feels like this is just a really complicated game of Minesweeper for the side of GA. They really have to constantly check every single corner. Okay, is Seafill there? Okay, he's there. Where's Sunny Waffle? Okay, Sunny Waffle's right here. Okay, where's Inbred? Oh, we don't know where Inbred is. Oh, now we're all dead because Inbred just flanked the entire team.
Yeah.
It's looking really tough, and it's just like a really hard position to be in as Arya and Dreadjoker. You know, this is usually the jungler and support's jobs to be kind of calling this stuff out and controlling regions. And how do you do that against, you know, 3 assassins, essentially 3 flankers that are looking to try to take out your team?
Well, and what's worse is too is they're not allowed to move first on the map just because of how aggressively BBC is positioning. Now, Dreadjoker's going to call down the ultimate. Ash Arrow's going to be down top of perhaps the wrong target. Ultimate committed those Yoncore tags onto 4 people plus the follow-up. My God, oh, wait a minute though, GA. They're trying to fight for something as the Arcane Storm doing so much damage to the backside, but Sifil has been allowed just to go and do whatever he wants. Cube trying to get the hell away. Arya commits the ultimate, but it's just to buy a smidgen of time. Arya Blasco Nova will be the next to fall. Sifil on cleanup duty here. Glacier, really nothing that he can do. Goes down, triple kill for the BBC mid laner. That was the team fight we were talking about. GA, too many things to cross off the list. They couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really good at the start. You ended up catching out Aqualuma. We'll see it right here in the replay. Immediately, arrow falls on Aqualuma, but they are just sitting and waiting. Chicken Thuggy lands an ultimate that hits 4 members on the side of Glacier Ascent. Meanwhile, Paul is going Hamboni in the backline, but just it doesn't seem like it's enough. It doesn't end up actually killing all 3 members. There's 2 members that escape with very low health bars. Meanwhile, Seafill is in the backline completely free to just do whatever he wants, ends up getting the kill onto Cube, and then shortly thereafter we see him chase down both Glacier and Arya. So yeah, it's like you check off 3 boxes, but you didn't check off the 4th, and because of it, you're going to lose the team fight. And unfortunately, that's just going to be the way that these fights go, as long as you know, GA is doing their homework.
Yeah. Well, and the point I was trying to make too, and we saw it there, is, you know, GA, in order to do what you were talking about in terms of being able to find these picks and be proactive, they have to be able to be the first to move around the map and set up that vision, you know, to make sure that, you know, they're kind of playing the Minesweeper game, that they have everything cordoned off. But the problem is BBC is able to just move faster because they're winning these fights. They have more gold and they have more control over the map, which means GA is never able to get that vision that they need. And like, even if they are able to get the vision that they need, there's not enough vision for them. Like, they don't have enough wards within their kits to be able to scout out all the different angles that BBC can look for with the champions they have. So I think it's almost an impossible task for them to get this done. But they're going to give us everything that they got. His ultimate's going to come out. See if as long as he keeps
ulting, very good flash.
Yeah, as long as he keeps ulting away too, he will never be able to be followed up by the Nocturne. I do like the flash to commit the safety because Dreadjoker needed to stay within visual range of him.
So yeah, I mean, Seafill is almost level 16, and now that the Mana Moon's completely built, is going to have enough mana to stack up the ultimates, and is going to be a real threat. Okay, we got some TP coming in. Let's see what happens.
Inbred surely is going to get caught here. The Ash Arrow even thrown down for good measure. Not that they ended up needing it. But that trade is going to be for the mid lane turret, and so now we're going to see a couple backs start to come out here as they knock down the bot lane turret, does GA. I don't know. I'm not sure if that trade was worth it. Yeah, you get Inbred Loser, and you do get that bot side tower, but you're still giving pressure everywhere else across the map to BBC, so I guess maybe they're just trying to find whatever trades they can grasp for.
I think it ends up being worth it. You trade tower for tower. Seafill didn't end up getting anything on the top side. I think it's completely fine, but Seafill is going to be so scary now with these completed items. And level 16, it's just going to be really, really difficult for Glacier and Cube to live for a very long time. Arya's going to have to pick and choose who she's going to have to save, and even then, the longer the fight goes, the less it matters.
I mean, I think it's just QWERTY, right? I think you got to keep QWERTY up in these fights. No disrespect to Glacier, but I think like that Victor is your one way to win team fights. Unless Paul just finds the sickest angle on someone like Aqualoon, or just is able to knock down Sifil, which I just don't think that's the right target for the Embessa to be going for. So I think it's just, you know, if Paul looks like he's getting low, but that Embessa's almost dead, then I would say go for it. But outside of that, I mean, I think it just has to be on QWERTY.
No. Definitely. Glacier, the build that Ashes have to do now, if you're behind early, it just feels so abysmal. Like, the items cost so much gold, and it really does not feel like a huge jump in damage between item builds until you're at like 4 items. So at this point, Glacier is pretty much an old bot, as sad as that is to say. He's going to have to really land some good ultimates and just hope that he hits them on Seafill or Aqualuma, Chicken Thuggy, someone who can actually die instantly.
Bye, Paul. It was nice knowing you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I say that about Seafill, but Seafill's getting so tanky actually with these items. He's going to be hard to kill too eventually.
And don't look too closely, but he does have a 10-stack Dark Seal in his inventory as well. And I'm sure that will be a fun item for everybody involved. Dreadjoker forced a flash to avoid the CC chain from Sunny Waffle and Chicken Thuggy. They lock him up.
Yeah,
that's a go button for the Baron, surely. That may even still be the go button. But I don't think they want to do this without Inbred being top lane.
Yeah, Aqualuma burnt flash there too to try to get that pick. So overall, good play for a Dreadjoker to be able to sidestep the CC there.
Right now, this game feels a lot tenser than I think it really has any right to be. And I think that's just because we're kind of looking to see when BBC is going to pull the trigger for that. What has been over the last 3 series, just that game-ending team fight that we see so many times, usually around a dragon or, sometimes around that Baron area. But I have a weird feeling just with the way the game is going right now. Like GA, even as difficult as Seafill is going to be to knock down, there's something about the way that they're playing right now that just gives me a little bit of hope that maybe they can't eke out something in these team fights. It's just how proactive they're going to be to actually set up the way that they want to. And it's also like BBC, they're just ignoring a lot of this poke, and they're just moving kind of wherever they want to right now. And so I think it's a difficult thing for GA to have any confidence in these fights, just knowing that they're just systematically getting pushed around the map.
Yeah, for all the viewers watching, look at Seafill. He's going to be pushing this mid wave and get onto the tower as fast as he can. If he doesn't get on the tower, he's going to be looking for a flank angle onto GA. The TP just came in from Paul, so GA fully in position, but yeah, Seafill is on the prowl. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, he's got 3 full mana items. And for GA, I think the only answer for them is to play this slow. You want to have a chance to poke out these shorter range members of BBC. But I think in the long term, though, I think also BBC, like, they have options. They can just look to kind of go towards the mid lane turret if they want to. There's just going to be a 1v1 towards the top side of this dragon, but nothing committed just yet. And GA, they need to find a better flanking angle. They want to set up a potential pick to make sure that Dreadjoker can grab something, but that Enchanted Crystal Arrow going down means there won't be an opportunity there. Ultimate's going to be committed now. Paul over the top of multiple people. GA, this may be the fight that they were looking for. The Nocturne commits late, but Seafill is just unstoppable for the side of BBC. Even though Qwerty Cube has got a massive ultimate flash forward, what else can he get? Inbred goes back into the Arcane Storm. A Madman gives a triple kill back over to Qwerty. Aqualuma, though, will put a stop to the victor. It's 3 for 5 in the end for BBC, but my God, did that fight look rough for a moment.
Yeah, actually looked like an excellent engage by Glacier Ascent. They pulled the trigger as soon as it happened. Watch it here. So the ultimate actually goes wide. Doesn't end up hitting anyone, but in return, they're completely dodged Chicken Thuggy's ultimate. That allows Paul to go in with a absolutely awesome ultimate. It hits multiple members with a lot of the AoE. Dreadjoker goes over the top. Qwerty Cube drops one of the biggest Victor ultimates I've ever seen. And because of it, is able to just immediately blow up Inbred Loser using the Q. And it's just so much damage. But yeah, Seafill doing so much with just so little, right? All he did was 2 ultimates, and it felt like a Q auto attack, and just completely blew up the front line of GA. And it's only going to get worse. So, still a win for BBC, but, hats off for GA. They did look good at the start of the fight, at least, and we just need to see a bit of a cleaner engagement by them.
This is going to be potentially round number 2. We're going to be stands a bunch of other abilities, but Ultimate's going to be coming back online for both these teams. BBC, they want to take this fight early. They may have learned their lesson from the last time, which was waiting too long. They're going to start up the Dragon and try and tempt GA to come a little bit forward. Glacier Ascent, again, still looking for the angles. They want to find the right setup. If they can enable Qwerty to have an even better setup this time, it would be great for them. Not going to be in the pit just yet as the Encore goes wide. Once more, third Dragon collected, but meanwhile, GA, they want to see what they can get, but the damage so far for BBC is just too much to deal with. GA, they may have found the team fight win they were looking for. Shutdown goes over to Qwerty. Huge fight. That Victor coming up massive. They're going to go run and get Baron.
Yeah, wow, what a great play by Glacier Ascent, showing some resolve in the latter half of this game. It really felt like they were starting to lose the pieces of the puzzle that they needed to complete it. And just then, one of the best engagements I've seen in quite some time. Paul just going absolutely haywire in the back.
Look at how perfectly he angles this.
Yeah, this is so good here. I mean, just great damage. We're going to watch this fight real quick in this replay. Watch Paul's engagement. combined with Cube doing a nice stun in the front of the Dragon Pit to prevent any members from coming back out. The knockup from Dread Joker does start off the fight, but immediately as soon as Paul gets in there, the shredding begins. Combined with Glacier, they're just doing so much damage over the top. Seafill, for fear of his life, had to jump over the wall, and, you know, what does that mean? Well, that means that Cassidy isn't doing the damage that he needs to do to kill the backline, and that's when you really have an opening to take back this game.
Yeah, and that was, I think, one of the rare moments that you saw what happens when Seafill is not proactively setting up these angles. You know, if you can see where that Caston is, and you can force him to be sort of towards the back of the team fight, it makes it so much easier to damage him down, because then he has to fight forward through 5 members of GA, playing into a choked corridor, which is where they want to be in the first place. You know, BBC is the team that wants the open space around the map. They want these angles. They want all the champions being spread out, because then they have more opportunities with champions like the Caston and the Wukong to set up these easy, you know, kind of 1v1, 2v2 picks, even with the Nocturne being in the game. But in a full 5v5, where Dread Joker can just turn off the lights and then selectively pick the right person after Paul goes in, well, that's a dream fight, a team fight dream for GA. That's what we saw there in the Drag Pit, just 5 people stuck with nowhere to go.
Yeah. And, you know, it doesn't help the fact that now Dread Joker's got the Maw of Malmortius, or Malmortius?
Maw of Malmortius.
And even Glacier picked up the Hex Drinker, you know, just to have that little bit of extra magic resistance. And so it's a bit of a... Yeah.
Oh, get the flash forward. Oh, no, that's not what you wanted. Glacier Ascent. Oh, they're going to try in vain to get something back here, but it's just too much damage. They do manage to collect one at the end, but Paul flashing out for his life. Nowhere really to go is BBC. They put a stop to that Baron push. All 5 members not available for GA. That's what we talked about. BBC wanted that space. They wanted the champion spread out across multiple lanes, and as soon as they saw that, they pounced on it.
Yeah. As soon as you catch one member out in the open, it's pretty much lights out. A bit of a, looks like a desperation TP from Paul. That being said, still got the kill, which is like really impressive, especially because he TP'd into all 5 members.
Yeah.
To get out of there alive was just kind of crazy, but I guess that's just, you know, 500 years of development experience on this champion for the side of Riot. Yeah, so... You know, a bit of a blunder by GA. I don't think by any means it's going to result in too much. Maybe the loss. Nah, not even the loss of the spot turret. So really, all you get out of it is just 2 kills. And Seafill.
This is not the easiest fight in the world for them, but they should just be able to lock Paul down. This might even coming down to make sure they secure that Mbessa. And I think even more tragically for GA is the fact that they didn't have a chance to get anything done with that Baron. You know, they were in the early stages of trying to set up, you know, 3 lanes to start to get the push down, but, you know, their comp struggles when they're not all 5 together. And so I think, you know, the disappointing part for them is no extra towers, no extra plate gold. And so they're still behind about 3,000 gold, which will be, you know, not the funnest thing in the world. I will say, though, you know, we're already starting to get close to that 35-minute mark, which means we're officially in the late game. So the gold advantage starts to matter a little bit less as the items start to come through for the majority of the carries on both teams.
Yeah.
And now we've got GA trying to get some vision control on this bot side at River, trying to see if they can control the spacing to grab this dragons to prevent the soul going over the BBC. And BBC immediately answers right back, says, nope, get the hell out of our River. We're getting this soul whether you like it or not. Quartercoop is in the rafters.
He needs to be careful. He can retreat towards the turret, but that turret is not very healthy. Now, all the 4 members down here, at least close to this bot side, have recognized that he's by himself. Knock down the Victor. You get a free team fight win. He threw down the Arcane Storm, but little too late.
They're pushing mid. GA's just going mid.
Yep, this is going to force out the recalls here from BBC. They won't be able to at least get too much out of this, so they're going to leave a couple people to take care of the dragon, and they'll send possibly 2 people to set up the flank here. Depends on how fast they want to do this. Dragon still not spawned in yet, so I'm not sure that it was worth it to kind of stay there. But the trade-off there is GA, they're going to be able to get that 1 tower, but not much more.
Kind of crazy. I actually would like to see if it's possible for us to do a replay. You probably, I don't know if you had it up or not, but how did they even know that Quarterkey was in that bot bush? They like ran straight at him.
He threw out his Q. He threw out his Q and he let himself get known. He was sitting in the bush. There wasn't a ward. Oh, never mind. We're not going to have a chance to talk about that because BBC, they're going to pick starting off, get another fight. And Sunny Waffle back into the pockets of 3 people, taking them for their lunch money. Paul trying to just trade for something, but nothing doing there. Seafill cleans it up on the backside. Even potentially wants to run down Arya. Is that Lulu little Yordle trying to run for her life? She'll be the only one left alive to see this dragon go down. Sorry, as actually Cordy is going to respawn now. And yep, that's going to be the Dragon Soul going over to BBC, and surely that's going to be the last nail in the coffin. They got all the resources they need now. And Blackmage, that's really not the way GA would probably want to have ended this game.
Yeah, looked really promising earlier in this game. They had some great engagements, that awesome team fight turnaround, and Dragon Pip it right then and there. Cube is dead. At that point, you really have to just give up the soul. If you go in and die, it's really just going to expand that gold lead. Seafill is going to start getting just to the point where he's going to one-shot everyone on your team. He already is kind of at that point, but you really don't want to lose the soul. That's just going to give him so much more power. And so dying there, they don't take too much off of the ace, but yeah, it's looking real rough for the side of GA.
Yeah. Both mid laners have now fully completed their build, so these guys are not going to be getting any stronger than they already are, so that means that the extra CS that they're getting at this point is just cosmetic. Still not 100% completed builds for either the ADCs or the top laners. So still some monetization to go, but as far as some of your strongest members, really for both teams being in that mid lane, this is it. This is kind of the pinnacle of what they're going to be able to achieve. They don't have like any scaling runes or anything like that, so they're not getting any stronger. And so I think game plans for both teams, for BBC, continue to try and force these team fights wherever possible, pick up the key members, specifically knock down QWERTY. And for GA, it's find a choke point. Force BBC to be in a condensed area where you can get the most out of the Arcane Storm, where you can get the most out of Paul and Dread Joker's Engage. And but I think right now that's a lot easier said than done, because BBC, they're positioning and playing very, very well.
Yeah, so right now, something that's kind of interesting to think about is, in my opinion, GA is just one of those teams that is kind of like the Dignitas of our league, right? They look like they can...
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a full team fight now. Paul commits. Encore on to 4 people overall. Goes unstoppable. It does Aqua Luma. This is going to be the final team fight, ladies and gentlemen, is GA. They wanted to see if they could potentially find something. They might have been trying to use Dread Joker's a little bit of bait. Zinful, ooh, teleporting forward underneath the turret. Does get traded, but ultimately Inbred's going to clean it up on the back side. And now BBC, they can look to just put the final touches into these turrets. The respawn timers are fairly long at this point, and it's only the Lulu there to watch this happen. So, yeah, I think Blackmage, BBC, they've probably found the end here.
Yeah, they definitely are going to be able to shut the door on this one, get us into game 2. But as I was saying, I feel like GA is one of those teams that, despite their record looking like they, are one of the bottom place teams, they are the only ones that seem to be giving any of our top 3 teams a actual run for their money. This game was probably the closest game that BBC's ever had. And I really do feel like there were a lot of points throughout that match where it could have gone either way.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready for draft in game number 2. And Blackmage, a lot that Glacier Ascent needs to do to get back in this series. That game 1, there were some encouraging moments, but a lot still left to get done. Oh, as I am still deafened and muted. Whoops. We're going to change that. Whoops. Okay, there we go. You should be able to hear me now.
Yes.
Excellent.
Unless you're muted on the stream again.
No, I am not muted on the stream again. I double-checked this time.
All right.
So still, as I was saying just a second ago, a lot for Glacier Ascent to get done. Some moments that were encouraging, but I think they still need to kind of clean this up and do more.
Yeah, they need to, I like the draft idea in the first game to actually have some lane advantages play through the Nocturne engagement. That really did end up working well for them in the early lane phase. It's just that once we got into team fighting, it seems like the job became a lot harder because you didn't really have any other team fighting tools outside of just the Ashe and Nocturne engage. So now, looking forward, BBC, reluctant to grab that Caitlyn. It's pretty strong AD carry in the current patch. Wondering what Glacier Ascent's going to respawn with. Most likely going to be the Sivir, but you never know. Maybe they have something else planned for it.
Sivir is one of the champions that comes to mind. Yunara is also available. Jinx, another champion sometimes we see. Varus, the other long-range poke champion that comes out. Varus, I think, has dropped off in popularity over the last patch or so. We haven't seen as much of it, and also just some of his pairings are not necessarily the greatest. That champion, I think, struggles to come online a little bit, especially when compared to some of its contemporaries. So I'm interested to see how Glacier Ascent is going to navigate, trying to move it to navigate some of its inherent weaknesses and what they're going to pair alongside it to kind of boost it up.
Yeah, I mean, right now, with the Jarvan paired with the Varus, I would really like to see Miko. I feel like Miko is really good into Caitlyn as well. And you take it away from BBC if they want to elect to take it later in the draft, but we might just see it right now and pick 2 and 3.
I like this Jarvan. I like the coverage, giving themselves a little bit of additional engage, but Big Bird Club immediately going to respond with a tank of their own. I love Sejuani. I think there's very few comps where she doesn't go into. Ooh. Ivern's support, I'm thinking.
Ivern. I love Ivern.
Unless it's a Sejuani top.
Willow Smith picked 3rd pick for BBC. Ivern's one of those champions we never see. We got to see a Rammus last week. Now we get to see an Ivern. I love this league. Yeah, Ivern's good. It's weird with the Sejuani pick. I would assume that, anticipate that they're going to be sending Ivern support, unless it's a big switcheroo and they plan on sending Sejuani into the top side.
I'm thinking of like, even if it's an Ivern support, I'm thinking like, if you put that Sejuani top side, there's like a number of really good jungle champions that you could pair with her. Like a Zehen would immediately come to mind. An Udyr would be absolutely obnoxious in that role in terms of just having turbo rundown power. Even a Lilia, which she's technically melee, or even like a Nunu Willump or something like that. I'm just thinking of like the draft possibilities that Big Bird Club have at their disposal if they start to get kind of goofy with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're gonna have a lot of tools in the tool shed. I was also just thinking briefly right now about the Caitlyn trap combos with the Ivern root. Because Ivern root is a really long stun.
It's longer than you think it is. People forget how long that stun is.
Yeah, or is it a snare?
It's technically a snare, I think.
Either way, it's a very long range snare, and so I feel like that actually could be a really good combo with the Ivern Caitlyn. The more I talk about it, the more I want to see it. I hope it actually is going to end up being a Caitlyn Ivern bot lane. That'll be really, really fun to watch against Nami Varus. Plus, yeah, I feel like that might actually have more poke than the Varus would have, just depending on how the Caitlyn plays those, in between the bushes.
Well, I think for Nami as well, like the frustrating part of trying to land bubble on a target that is frequently moving in and out of aggro range.
Yeah. Glacier Ascent, grabbing the Orianna. So Jarvan Orianna combo, one of the oldest in the book. Very easy to land, and comboing that with Varus and Nami is really, really smart. I feel like this is a very easy to execute, straightforward team comp. It's kind of what we wanted to see from Glacier Ascent in this game too. And the Syndra answered into the Orianna. This is a great matchup for Syndra. I love this matchup. It is really, really, really good as long as you hold on to your stun as long as possible to make it so that Orianna can't really step up into the wave. You have a lot of ability to just outpoke her.
I will say, I think for Glacier Ascent, I think what they have right now, it does give them a little bit of protection against a Syndra. Fairly immobile champion in that mid lane, so she's a little too far pushed up. Jarvan, Cataclysm, plus Orianna, Shockwave. Very easy combo to knock down that Syndra. As the Jax is going to get drafted here, so the Sejuani, I think, is confirmed to be going into the jungle. Jax towards that top side, so it means that we are, in fact, getting the Ivern bot lane. Glacier Ascent, what do they want to respond with in that top side? A number of really good champions still available. Sion, Gnar, Ornn, all available. A Malphite, technically, if they wanted to give themselves a little bit more dive. Instead, though, they are thinking the Alawi to perhaps change things up. Interesting that they want to go towards that. I would have been a fan of the Mordekaiser here, actually, even too, into the Jackson. No! Last-minute pivot towards the Jace. As we are on to the Rift, game number 2 between BBC and Glacier Ascent. BBC, they are looking to tie Baggy Pampers, as we've said multiple times, up in that 4-0 spot and contest for first place. GA, a win for them would be nice to even just get back even in this series, and just even the chance to fight for a possibility of getting their first series win would be a big deal, but a lot to do between now and then. Is Sunny Waffle going to step forward and get a nice aggressive ward?
Yeah, speaking of which, if GA ends up winning this game, putting themselves in a position where, they really are going to walk out of this series with their heads held high, a lot of confidence moving into the next few weeks, and possibly the ability to clinch playoffs. This is a do or die moment for them, is it not? I believe it is.
For GA,
going on 3.
Yeah, for GA or for BBC?
GA.
So for GA, if they lose this series, it's not the end of the world just because the rest of the standings are in such a, relatively speaking, bad position because everyone's been losing to the same teams. So they have an opportunity to fight for a 4th spot, but I mean, it is really rough if they lose this. The only I guess nice part for them is they have enough games left to play. There are other teams that have already played 3 games, but so a loss here doesn't knock them out, but it doesn't put them in a nice spot.
Okay, then yeah, I mean, either way, GA wins this series. They're going to have a lot of confidence and be able to pull a lot from this footage moving forward into their other series and, you know, basically mimic how they played against BBC. Like, BBC is one of the best teams in the league. They're currently 3-0, sitting up top in first place with the likes of BP and oh man, words are escaping me, Silvermains. And so, yeah, they were come out of this game as the first people to actually take out BBC, the former league champions. It's going to feel really good for them. Area is definitely causing some mind spasms for the bot lane of BBC, spamming that laughing emoji.
Well, there's a great quote from Michael Jordan. He says, "It's easy to talk shit whenever you're ahead, but when you're down or when you're even, that's when it really matters." So, you know, at least the good spirits are high for the side of GA. But I mean, I think like you've highlighted, it's winning this series, you know, gives them a lot to be proud of. It, you know, gives them some momentum. It stops the losing streak. But you know, for BBC, I think they're no less motivated because a win here 100% locks them in for playoffs. Given the number of games that they have left to play, you know, they'll be 4-0, so they wouldn't be able to lose enough games to lock them out. So, and also, like, just being in first place contention with BP, because I think for BBC, like, and we can talk about this for a moment, I think, like, there is a certain level of mind games of, like, oh, everyone's talking about Baggy Pampers and how, you know, they're the kind of expected favorites to really win the whole division. And you're like, well, wait a minute, like, our record's just as good. Like, we haven't lost a game either. You know, we're winning all of our series, and so, you know, if you're BBC, you're like, hey, you know, we think maybe people are not paying enough attention to us as they probably should be.
Yeah, and the same can be said for Silvermains. You know, these are 3 teams that are just throwing down the gauntlet every single game. They're really showing what they're made of, and there really hasn't been too many challenges to them at all. I feel like GA, like I was saying earlier, is kind of the only team across that thought.
Look at this gang. Dread Joker.
Chicken
In a really good spot. Oh, preemptive flash out, but the Sleepy Trouble, sorry, the bubble lands on Aqualuma. Chicken Thuggy manages to walk out. A number of abilities traded here, but at least the pressure given over to GA in that bot side. So Glacier and Arya are going to have a little bit of a reprieve towards that pushing pressure that Chicken Thug and Aqualuma were putting on. They're going to crash this wave, and not a bad gank, honestly.
Yeah, and if, you know, once Varus gets some armor pen, it's actually able to utilize that charged Q and passive effectively. That would have been, in any other scenario, a dead Ivern. So going to be a good look for them. Definitely going to feel a lot better than the oppressive lane that they had to go against in the last game.
Yeah. Here's a fun game we can play. What is Chicken Thuggy going to build on Ivern as a first item?
Redemption.
You think first item?
Yeah, I would think I would go for Redemption. I mean, obviously, like Boots of Lucidity probably, but yeah, Redemption I think is pretty good on Ivern. It's good on him in the jungle. It makes sense it would be good on him at support.
What do you think about like a Knight's Vow start? Not
that's better against sustained damage champions. But Varus is usually just going for more of the poke builds. If it's an on-hit Varus, maybe, but against the bursty comp on the side of GA, I feel like Redemption's probably better.
Yeah, I think just my doubt of the Redemption item is just because like it is nice to have that like kind of on-demand heal a little bit, but I think also like there's potentially some static stuff that perhaps you lose out on by going that as a first item. But by the same token, I'm not sure what else like you would even want to build. Oh, Quarty Cube. Yep, on the wrong side of this one is going to flash out. Sunny not going to commit the flash yet. We'll just be happy to get the Orianna flash. And can regank that a little bit later when it's a little bit easier. Quarty with the Shockwave right now would be able to deny that full follow-up. Of course, I say that, getting hit by the Scatter of the Week doesn't help that.
Yeah, Scatter of the Week, the first one failed, or missed really, so that ends up not being a kill in the mid lane. And now that he's level 6, it actually is a lot safer to play in this matchup.
Grandmaster Shower's going to be put down. Inbred loser kills him underneath the turret and walks out with his life. Inbred has been solidly winning this top lane and is going to be happy to get himself a kill donated as oop. Is that I'm not sure why it's not centering the camera. There it goes. Is that a counter strike perfectly landed on Paul to keep him stuck in place.
Yeah, that was an excellent play by Inbred Loser, especially in a matchup that is supposed to be, you know, very Jace favored. They're even in farm, and now with the 300 gold up, Jack's going to be in a really good spot, especially once he gets the boots completed. He's able to actually keep up in pace with Paul, and even if he gets knocked out, can just jump right back on him. So, But in the meantime, GA does pick up the first dragon, so
that's how it was. That's how it was. I think similarly towards the last game. BBC, they were trading for other objectives, both like the Grubs and the Herald, and they were giving away those dragons. Chains of Corruption gonna miss. Glacier are gonna be upset about that one.
Oh my gosh, that is so gross.
Aquamarine.
That is so gross.
I keep wanting to say Aquamarine, Aqualuma. Of course, Aqualuma is shining like an Aquamarine. And the fact that they were faster to level 6 and then still missed the ultimate and didn't have the combination there, that is very unfortunate for Glacier. Missed opportunity, and that's what we're talking about. Everything comes down to execution, and when you miss the easy plays, it makes winning the harder game moments just that much more complicated.
Yeah, something really... Okay, Seafill just ends up getting a kill on Cordy Cube there.
Yeah.
Something I was going to say that is really genius about this Caitlyn and Ivern bot lane combo is the bushes.
Yeah.
Caitlyn passive works in those Ivern bushes, so that is really cracked.
Yeah, this is the oppressive poke that we were highlighting. I think a draft is just Aquamarine being able to sit in those bushes and passively get headshots, and then also just the difficulty for Arya to continually try and land poke and CC onto Chicken Thuggy, who's just being obnoxious, sitting in the bushes, landing the stuns. Paul may have found himself an opportunity to fight back here. Inbred Loser had the Conqueror stacked. Paul doesn't get the empowered Q through the... been a little bit unfortunate for there. The health bar was low enough that Paul maybe thought he should win that trade, but Inbred's going back all the way off and not give him that opportunity. Siffle landing the Scout of the Week. There's 3 people here, Cordy. You're on the wrong side of this one, my friend, as he's going to get rooted up. Chicken Thuggy just providing a little drive-by support, and Cordy dies underneath the tower. Give it over to Siffle. 2-0 on the Syndra. Yep, and things start to go from not so great to just a little bit worse for Glacier Ascent.
Yeah, they have the winning lane states. Top is winning, and in terms of pressure, the CS lead. Mid was having a pretty good time outside of this second death now, and bot is pushing, but it just feels like at every turn BBC is just outplaying them. They're positioning Chicken Thuggy in the right place at the right time. See the really good roam to the mid lane to get the kill onto Cordy Cube there. Dread Joker gets spotted out as well, just by virtue of having that extended range on the, or not extended, but just the long range on that snare is just so annoying.
Yeah, and I think BBC, the hairs on the back of their neck were starting to stand up a little bit as they're like, something doesn't quite feel right, because I was looking to see how far forward they wanted to step up while the Jarvan was there. Sunny Waffle was farming somewhat close by, but if they had stepped too far forward, I don't think would have been there fast enough to respond to that gank. So good on BBC and being a little bit proactive and checking for things. And so catching out the Jarvan means that they were not in any danger. But Dread Joker will continue to look for opportunities. I'm not sure what Arya wants, was sitting in that brush there for just a moment. And for the junglers, I think so fairly quiet early game. Outside of just taking the objectives, neither has been super involved. I mean, Sunny Waffle's been around to get a little bit of an assist in the mid lane, but that's kind of been it for both these guys. Oh, nice shockwave. Cordy now is fairly low. The Glacial Prison doesn't land all the way, but it is enough to slow. Another Scout of the Week will make sure that Cordy goes down. Auto secures it. Sunny Waffle now officially on the board, just as we were talking about him not. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Tidal Wave used to provide a little bit of space. Now Glacier wants to see what he can get done. Healing starting to come through just a little bit. Chicken Thuggy wants to walk out of this. Flash to avoid the Q damage, which would have been an execute. And now Arya on the razor's edge right here. The ultimate for the Caitlyn just gonna do it. BBC winning across the board right now, giving very little in return. The Blackmage, that bot lane that we said GA needed to get going their way, just not happening right now.
Yeah, not happening. Jarvan does end up getting the kill in the mid lane against Seafill, but in return, Aqualuma gets the kill onto Arya. So Aqualuma looking really strong in this lane. 747 gold lead in his pocket. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, even despite the fact that Seafill died, still up 1,000 gold on the Orianna. And talking about that mid play, Cordy Cube just not respecting the fact that there's no vision on the top side. If the mid laners often we will flame junglers, but really it's only justified if there's vision everywhere and you're still getting ganked nonstop and you know where their enemy jungler is. But in
you
this
heard
case,
it here first, folks. Blackmage, all the junglers, all the Blackmage said it's not your fault. Just clip that out of context and just have that on repeat for any mid laner starts to flame you.
It's true. All right, Quartercube only has vision on the bot side. That's the map. That's not a map you should be playing towards. You need to position yourself towards that river. If you don't, then you're gonna get ganked by Sunny Waffle over and over again. That's what we've seen.
We're about to get a fight. As Quartercube was pushing very aggressively in that mid lane to get the wave shoved, but now GA, I think they're just going to make the call to back off for now. They don't want to do anything stupid. Uh-oh, meanwhile, talking about being, or doing something stupid, Glacier might be on the wrong side of the map as flash forward, gets rooted underneath the turret. Aqualuma with a little bit of shielding survives. Chicken Thuggy, though, may be the next on the board to go down as, unfortunately, Arya's going to step right into a trap. Surely they have the damage to knock down Chicken Thuggy on this Ivern. Is going to get bubbled up, so this should just be a matter of follow through. So it will be a 1-for-2 play. And where it looked like BBC being pretty good positioning to knock down the Varus ends up being a play against them. Not sure why Aqualuma decided to flash underneath the turret and get Varus ulted.
Yeah, very strange. It looked like it was just, I don't really know what the flash was for. Maybe she thought that Glacier was going to flash away in some way. But yeah, ends up just flashing on top of the ultimate as it goes out. Here's something interesting. Dread Joker, Voltaic, Sword.
Yeah, I hate that item. I hate that item, and I think for Dread Joker, not maybe the best item to be building on Jarvan. I would have much rather seen a Stride Breaker, just given what Jarvan likes. Or, you know, I'm not sure what else you might want to build. Oh, Aqualuma might have enough to just kill Glacier outright. Ooh, ultimate not enough to do it. Survives with a sliver of health, but that's the trading power and that 1v1 that the Caitlyn has.
Yeah, there's a lot of items you could build instead of the Voltaic or Cycle Sword. But Seafill landing some crazy damage on Arya. That damage is only going to get crazier, by the way. The more splinters that Syndra gets, the more damage she's going to put out in those combos where she lands
needs to be careful. Dread Joker, you can, I think we all, the itchiness that he feels in his fingers right now to land that flag and drag, he's just micro staring at the stream like, yes, just a couple of inches more and I will have you right where I want you, like a little crab, and just reach out my pincher and get you. But Sifil just not stepping close enough. But that's like, I don't know, it's just fun to spectate this little moment. Not gonna be much of a fight. Sunny Waffle grabs it, walks away. So 1-for-1 in that dragon stacking. Was he stacking that team, everything going? But Blackmage, I mean, so both of these teams fairly even right now. There's, you know, we're starting to see some of the play get a little sloppier from both sides. And I don't think either has a significant advantage right now, other than, I guess, just kind of Aqualuma with that massive amount of poke damage that she has right now. But I'm curious, like, for both these teams, what's their kind of next step forward as we, you know, sort of wait for these neutral objectives to start to respawn?
You're on Glacier Ascent, I think.
Oh, bye, Cordy.
Coop's going to die here.
All right.
Yeah, Seafill is just going to start doing that over and over again to really anyone she wants, especially even Inbred, or Dread Joker.
Oh, Dread. Potentially found an angle on top of Aqualuma, but didn't manage to lock down the Caitlyn. Will trade 1-for-1 onto the Ivern, and now Aqualuma just wants to get away from Glacier. Flag and drag back over the wall for Sunny Waffles. This is a nasty spread fight, but Sifil has now finally joined. Again, 2-for-2 now. Arya trying to make sure she doesn't step too far forward either. There's traps. Glacier also doesn't want to step too far forward, but Arya doing a really good job to keep Varus healthy. Barrier going to be popped. Will there be a 1-for-1 trade again? Yes, there will. Forces the teleport out from the Jace, who arrives way too late. Meanwhile, Inbred's going to stay on that top side. Blackmage, that was a very, very long fight. 3-for-3 in the end for both sides. Not sure that's really what either wanted.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the Varus ultimate was used on during that fight, but it felt like it may have just gone onto the wrong target, whoever it was. I really do feel like it should have probably gone on Sunny Waffle. You know, that being said, ends up being a better fight for BBC overall, just by virtue of what they end up getting around the map. But what I was going to say earlier is that GA really should be looking for the 5v5 team fight, or even a 4v5, or 4v4 team fight, rather. Their team fight is really strong. If you Ori ball the Jarvan, you're able to get a lot of damage down very quickly, especially with the Jarvan build going on right now. And then Glacier and Arya should be able to kind of clean up the scragglers with all the poke damage that they have. But so far, we have not seen these team fights. We've just seen some side lane pressure.
And for BBC, I want to see them try and get Inbred out of this top lane and get him a little bit more involved, because Jace, where he really wants to be, is involved in those team fights, getting on the back line, knocking down those Glacier members. He's been doing a really, really good job against Paul here, you know, especially towards that poke lane. You know, Jace normally has the advantage in that lane, and that hasn't been the case so far. But they may be calling some jungler presence over there to kind of deal with this. And Red does spot out Dread Joker, so at least won't be falling prey to that. But the BBC, I want to see them get a little bit more proactive in terms of trying to set up some of these skirmish or even team fight capabilities, or opportunities. I think a great way to do that might be to provoke something near the Rift Herald, which has spawned. And they might even try and roam Chicken Thuggy up there to kind of help with that. They're massing towards mid lane. Not sure that they want to try and set up a play on a Syphil.
Yeah, it would be a good play. They might be going to Sunny Waffle, though, instead.
Should be safe. Change of corruption. Ooh, that's not going to feel good. Not sure that that's the target you wanted. Is now the rest of the members of BBC going to start to walk towards here. And Bread Loser flash forward to secure the kill onto Paul on the top side. Now it's a man disadvantage. GA, they need to walk on out. And Bread's not necessarily within kill range. Is Aqualuma going to die to QWERTY? So at least it's a 1-for-1 trade globally. But I think right now BBC in a much better spot. They can look to go ahead and grab that Rift Herald and crash that in the mid lane turret. So overall for BBC, making the right moves.
Yeah, ulting Sunny Waffle when...
Oh, that's going to be the Cataclysm committed by Dread Joker. They won't let you get a point out, Blackmage. They're saying, we got some team fighting to do. Chicken Thuggy, the next on the menu. Just as we were praising them, BBC, they get caught in rotation. Great angle for Dread Joker.
Yeah, and a ton of damage. I mean, he's going all in. He's got the Profane Hydra now, so that burst is going to be absolutely insane. We're going to see a little bit of a replay here. QWERTY Cube ends up getting the kill onto Aqualuma on the bot side. That's going to feel really good for the Orianna moving forward, trying to get those optimizations rolling. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Dread Joker sitting in a vision dead spot. You know, BBC not respecting it. The jump over the wall comes in, and the ultimate onto Syphil literally does half of his health. It is so much damage right now, and that just allows Glacier and Dread Joker to chase down the Ivern shortly thereafter. Double kill over to Glacier. That's going to look good too.
I noticed that when he threw down the Cataclysm too, it looked like maybe Chicken Thuggy was going to be able to walk out, but you'd actually see it clip him into the Cataclysm, making sure he couldn't walk away. Yeah. So I thought it was a fun little action, because like, oh, okay, if it's a 1-for-1 there, maybe not the worst for BBC, but the fact that they got both is huge. Now, this is going to be only the third dragon of this game. It's been a little bit slower in terms of that pacing. GA, they'd really like to get this. The camera kind of spazzing out, losing its mind. But BBC, they want to come off these rotations and see if they can pick somebody here. This is going to be the teleport out from the J, so they will have all 5 available in the bot side. Meanwhile, though, Inbred going to pick up a turret. BBC, they
I don't like this from BBC.
Yeah, I don't like this either.
I don't think they should fight this.
They, I think, are going to make the appropriate call to wave this off. They're still kind of hanging around to see if they can get a little bit of vision. Now, Syphil, if he keeps landing those, that might change the narrative of this potential fight. And now the call's coming through. They may not want to let this go. QWERTY on the backside wants to try and see if they can stun up Sunny Waffle. Tidal Wave going to come out. Dragon will be secured. Now what else can they get? Huge shockwave on the back to knock out multiple people. Chicken Thuggy forced to walk out. But Aqualuma has been left alone on the backside until now. Dread Joker locks her down. Sunny Waffle, though, will claim GA's ADC. Scatter the Weak knocks down Dread Joker, who's able to flag and drag away in the end. And BBC didn't want to let this go. They were trying to contest the Dragon. They dropped a 1-for-2, but ultimately the objective going over to GA. Oh, they may not be letting this go. Syphil, nice scatter of the week, onto 1. They've got him between a rock and a hard place. That's going to be 1. Can they get 2? Sunny Waffle taking up the turret. Dread Joker flash out to safety. He's huddling underneath the turret, but they're proxying the wave. Arya cannot step too far forward to help this Jarvan. Dread Joker is just dead to an auto here. They know where he's at. He's going to die eventually. Just how much time can he waste? He won't execute the turret because there is none there. They're going to run him down. He's just going to waste a bunch of time. Executed. Really good. Executed to a minion. All right, great time. Great job stalling that out.
Meanwhile, though, something that needs to be said is Inbred Loser was absolutely destroying the top side. Ended up killing either 2 or 3 towers there overall.
Oh, bye, Paul.
Yeah, Paul's going to die here.
Oh, that was this Scout of the Weeks. Syphil has been Johnny on the spot with all of these Scout of the Weeks, and that was just another good one there. And so you were about to tell us and the viewers about how much disgusting gold Inbred was allowed to get in that top side.
Yeah, he is almost 3k gold up by himself, 3-0 on the Jax. Level 14, I'm not sure what level Paul is because of the overlay, but let me check real quick for you. Level 12, Paul. So 2-level lead in the top side is never going to feel great. Not to mention, he's already back on the lane, so he's going to get even more of an EXP lead. I would imagine he's going to be 3 levels up, and he is level 15 now. So, yeah, not a good spot to be in. Who do you even send to stop this Jax? It's going to be really hard. I guess you have to send Cordy Cube, but even then, it's really difficult.
I think if you're trying to respond to Inbred Loser, you got to move fast, and you're sending Jarvan, you're sending Orianna, and probably, to be honest with you, you're probably sending Glacier as well, just to have the pure damage. I don't think you necessarily need Arya as long as you have all 3 of those people. You shouldn't need the heal sustain, but, I mean, to your point, like, that 2-level advantage is a lot. He's just been allowed all that time in the world to farm that turret, get that gold, and, you know, now when he starts to join these team fights, it's going to get a lot harder for GA to win because you got to, I mean, if we're being honest, like, it's been contentious team fights up to this point, and the fact that they haven't had to contend with the Jax at all is a little bit concerning. And that's even if Inbred decides he wants to go and get himself involved in those team fights, because he could just stick in a side lane, and it's like one person, Dread Joker, just gonna delete simple. I don't like the Cycle Sword, but I will say it makes for plays like that. And Inbred, he's going to look to return the favor on a Cordy. Does manage to get that Counter-Strike. Cordy, nowhere to go. Oh, my God. That attack speed, the flash, the stun. Look at the moves. Inbred is... Now, let's see here. That's one of the members that you needed down to get him. Glacier is just going to get donated the turret. He's trying to run out. Arya can do nothing except just be a little bit of emotional support. He goes back in like a madman. Paul is going to miss that shock blast. Will help eventually collect the Jax, but they lost a lot to get him. And meanwhile, Sunny and Aqualuma, I'm not sure what they're doing here. Arya even going to flash the emote. Sunny, not really sure there's a lot to find here. Glacial Prison goes flying over the wall. Paul, for some ungodly reason, step forward. Arya steps forward to take the Caitlyn ultimate. There's a lot of wacky psycho plays going on here. Jay, these guys are losing their minds.
Yeah. An insane start by Inbred Loser to sidestep the ultimate, flashing out last second. Just ends up styling on Cordy Cube, so shout out to Inbred for that play. But what I was going to say is that you can't even send anyone except for Cordy Cube to stop Jax in this bot lane. Because if you send more than just one person, it should result in an automatic Baron. In that scenario, BBC, for some weird reason, thought, hey, let's send Seafill and Sunny Waffle Aqualuna and Sunny Waffle to get some kills, following up on Inbred Loser's actions, and that didn't really make sense to me. I feel like you just pressure Baron at that point, take it because they've already sent 3 people to the bot side, but yeah.
I think my only counterpoint...
Inbred Loser's disgusting. He's so strong right now.
I would say that my only counterpoint to that in terms of like sending multiple people to deal with Inbred is I think because you can't send just one person to deal with them. And I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because you're going to give up something no matter what. Like, you either send one person to try and deal with Inbred knowing that that person's going to die and he's still going to siege onto the turret, or you try and knock down BBC's most effective side laner and just trade for a Baron knowing that at least the rest of the team is not going to have an easy time. Now, it would be helpful if they could just go ahead and knock down the Ivern and collect a free kill there and split the rest of the team. And now BBC, they may have found themselves on the wrong side of this play. Dragon available. Paul starting to lose quite a bit of health. Caitlyn's going to come down. Flash forward from Sunny. They want to try and secure him, but not able to. Arya doing a huge job and trying to keep Paul healthy, but in the end, it doesn't matter. Ziffle picks up that kill, and now GA, they need to try and walk out here. Their health bars are a little bit nicer spot right now. A lot was committed to knock down that Jace.
Cordy has ultimate. Watch Cordy's ultimate.
Glacier trying to run away from this one, but the rest of GA, or sorry, rest of BBC rather, they're just not grouping as the Shockwave used just to try and keep the Sejuani off of the squishier members. According now, no other tools to commit here to win this team fight. BBC, even though they were split at the beginning of that fight, they find a way to make it work.
Yeah, I don't know what the communication was like on the side of GA there, but it felt like all that GA had to do was just play back and wait for Cordy Cube to actually commit to the flank. So right here, we're going to see Sunny Waffle ends up getting Paul despite Arya's efforts. So right here in this moment, right here, you do not need to walk forward. You need to run backwards, stay right in this area because Cordy Cube is on the flank. But what happens? Arya and Glacier step way too far forward, right into Seafill getting stunned. And because of that, Cordy Cube has to turn around and is now doubling back. And that's why we see the ultimate only affect one member. Yeah, the communication needed to be for GA to back off, stay behind the entrance of Dragon, and then let Cordy Cube flank.
Oh, Ziffle, you want to talk about bad positioning? That was not a great place to be. Now they're going to trade 1-for-1 on this one. Meanwhile, Inbred, though, nice teleport. He's going to collect Paul. They're going to collect this turret. Cordy Cube running for the hills. Wants to get the hell out of Dodge before that crazy Jax runs the Orianna down. They're going to put the start the siege down. They need to wait for the minions to get there so they can get the turret debuff. And I think while they siege it up, I mean, to your point, yeah, and I think what BBC did, you know, in addition to making sure that they were spaced out, was they were keeping mental tabs of where Cordy was probably going to be, because they didn't actually see Cordy on vision. And so they knew, like, okay, the Orianna is up, not showing in the side lane. She has to be here somewhere. And so I think just making sure that they never gave Cordy the opportunity to get a multi-man shockwave is really what helped them at the end of that team fight. Oh, but even as I say that, though, does manage to collect Inbred on the side. That is an inhibitor turret down. What else can they get, Cordy? Man, it's a trade of bad positioning over and over again for both of these teams. This is really sloppy, and yeah, Aqualuma going to slay at Glacier on Varus. They needed him to continue to clear those waves out, but with 4 alive,
on a trap there.
Yeah, did step on the trap. I think with 4 alive, they should just call off the end of the siege for BBC.
Yeah, you know, in that fight, I don't even think it was BBC never giving QWERTY, you know, the ability to do the 4-man ultimate. I think it was just the bot lane of GA stepping up too far. You just let them walk forward now. Okay, Seafold
Dread Joker
destroyed Paul.
Yeah, gonna collect the Ivern on the back end, but it's really not the target you want. Another scout of the week. Dread Joker is trying to get a little bit of space. Glacier First gonna lock him down just for a moment, but Arya, even the tidal wave, I keep forgetting what her ultimate is, but I always call it tidal wave, but even the wave, not enough to keep that Jarvan alive. And this might just be the Baron call here for the side of BBC. They've got very healthy members, and obviously no jungle on the opposite side for GA. Should just mean that this objective is free.
Yeah, at this point in the game, Seafield, Aqualuma, Inbred, they're just going to utilize their wallets in these team fights. The wallets alone are just so huge. Even though, you know, in theory, GA has better team fighting, I really don't think it's going to matter unless they get just really insane Orianna Jarvan combos, like onto Aqualuna and Seafield at the same time. I really don't see how they're going to be able to win these fights.
No. And it's a little bit disappointing because I think with this draft, we had way more confidence in GA's ability to kind of pull this off, especially when we were looking at some of the individual parts. You know, QWERTY being able to get a little bit of bullying lane into Seafield in terms of the early trades, and then expecting kind of the Jace to be a little bit more effective. But the fact that he's 3 levels down to the Jarvan, I think, is just kind of a microcosm of how this game has gone. And so for BBC, I think it's just, you know, try and be careful the next couple steps. You know, look for a really good team fight. Make sure that you're picking certain members, you know, specifically QWERTY Cube and Glacier. Then once those 2 are down, it's a much easier time as far as navigating the end of the game and claiming the objectives. But GA, though, you know, credit where credit's due. They're staying scrappy. They're not letting this game go down passively. They're actively trying to find ways to win. You know, and like as you've highlighted multiple times, Dread Joker just fully going into damage. Like, look, I don't have the tankiness to survive this damage anyway, so I might as well grab one person before I go out.
Yeah, no, it's true. Paul, man, this is such a rough matchup. At this point, Paul really doesn't do anything to Inbred loser, especially with that. With the that stance built there.
Jesus Christ, Glacier almost deleted. He does manage to get one. Does Dread Joker to the backside? So damage for damage. Nobody on the side of GA dropping just yet. Dread Joker forced to flash away from Inbred. Didn't want to get caught up by that Jarvan. Oh, nice shockwave onto Sifo. That's a big part of their damage gone now for BBC. Arya's going to get traded because the range is just so aggressive. So even when BBC are losing, they're winning. Inbred going to pick up yet another turret. The siege is going to continue. They're going to knock down at least one inhibitor. They can rotate over to help the Jax. And do they fancy themselves an end of the game here? It's only the one dead there for the side of GA. And yeah, I think once they collect this bot side turret, I think they're going to call it off. But I've been wrong before, Blackmage. I'm starting to get nervous.
I just want to see one Orianna Jarvan ultimate combo. I don't think we've seen a single one. They've been completely split up for most of the game. Mostly because Dread Joker's kind of like off on the sides doing the assassinations with his ultimate because his ultimate does so much damage. So you can't really blame him because he is kind of keeping the game alive on his shoulders alone. But yeah, I want to see one good engage where the Orianna combo with the Jarvan onto Seafield or Aqualuma. If you can do that, I think there's a chance. If you don't blow up either of these champions almost immediately, it looks way too impossible.
All right. Good news for GA is that the Baron is now going to be dying off for the side of BBC, so at least they won't have that to contend with. That's kind of where the good news stops. The bad news is BBC have now gotten themselves to drag points. That means you are fighting for the next one, regardless of whether or not you want to. Oh my goodness, area over the wall. Flash forward from Aqua Luma to confirm it. Oh, it's disgusting. We've got ADCs flashing over walls. We've got fish people being turned into sushi. And we've got BBC looking for the game end. Glacier's going to be the next to fall. It's a redemption kill over the end. It's the ultimate disrespect. It's a nice shockwave to grab 3, but there's no follow-up, no damage, and now no hope for GA into this series. And BBC, they're going to make sure they get all 5. They want no vestiges of this Glacier Ascent team being alive. Cordy just trying to get away is going to get stunned up, and Chicken Thuggy even providing a little bit of help. Daisy running it down, but meanwhile, BBC, they're going to put it into the game, and they win another 2-0 series. They advance to 4-0. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the victorious member of the BBC squad. We are with their top winner. Man, how are you feeling? You guys are 4-0. You're tied up with BP. Y'all be feeling on top of the world right now.
Oh, man, we're killing it right now, Horizon. It's always good to talk to you and Blackmage. Really appreciate y'all casting as always. No, what a great series, man. Always love playing against Glacier Ascent. They never make it boring. Those 2 games are very indicative of that. A lot of fun. Man, just on top of the world right now.
Yeah. So I'll kick us off with the first question. Blackmage and I, we were talking about during the game that even though, we haven't necessarily seen the best of Glacier Ascent, I think kind of like you just highlighted, they never have boring games. They're very challenging. They keep things competitive, even against the top teams. So Absolutely. What is it like to, play against a team that, even while you have maybe necessarily the skill advantage over them, they keep things close to, do y'all get a decent challenge out of them? Is that valuable for you guys looking forward?
Absolutely. Even in scrims, they always play their heart out. They always give us a great challenge, and it never feels like a waste of time ever. They always play out their block. They never leave early or make any excuses or anything like that. Always wonderful to play against Glacier Ascent. Always good decorum. And honestly, I can't really say anything bad about the rest of the teams in the server too. It seems like everyone really takes this shit seriously and actually, puts the time in and actually cares. So it's a big advantage for sure.
Yeah. No, it's quite amazing to see, how your team has grown over time. Shout out to Glacier Ascent. They are definitely looking like a team that I during the cast, I was talking to Horizon. We kind of equate Glacier Ascent to Dignitas currently in the LCS.
Yeah. Maybe, hopefully like not all the ways.
Sure.
Right. Well, it's like they're like this team that consistently actually has competitive games against the top teams in the LCS, but they can never really seem to actually win a series.
Just unfortunate, yeah.
Yeah, they'll win individual matches, and if you look on this team on paper, they're definitely not one of the teams you would expect to see at the bottom of the standings. That being said, there was a moment in Game 1 where there was a questionable team fight around Dragon where Glacier Ascent actually did they actually were able to kind of get the better of the team, and they actually almost ended up winning off of that play. And so my question is just, in those moments where your team actually seems to fall behind, who is the guiding voice that actually pulls the team together and leads you to victory, even in the face of adversity?
Right. Yeah. I mean, this series in specific, we did have some role changes around. It was definitely a little less comfortable than what we were typically playing on. But honest to God, it's our rock in the mid lane C-Fill. Keeping our heads clear, keeping our objectives always in mind, no flame or anything like that, obviously. We usually keep things pretty calm in the group chat, even, typically, even if a bad fight happens around Dragon, like you said, where that Victor went just absolutely stupid on us. That was a really, really tough fight. But no, C-Fill really keeps our heads leveled. And Sunny Waffle in the jungle, switching from ADC to jungle for us there. Man, what a performance there, keeping things in such a pivotal role. It was really a really big help for sure.
One of the questions that I've been asking, obviously I asked BP this question, I'll ask you guys the same. You're now 4-0, so you're tied for first place in the standings. A lot of the narrative has been around BP kind of being the heir apparents for the tournament in terms of the hardwire division. A lot of people, I think, kind of expect them to win. You guys obviously have now tied it. What are your feelings now that y'all have secured a spot within playoffs? Are y'all feeling really good? You haven't played BP yet. I mean, are y'all like dissatisfied with that narrative, or do y'all think maybe that's accurate?
I mean, we definitely scrimmed them. It's not like we're going into the matchup completely, unknowing of what they do. And obviously the games that are streamed here, we get a lot of good information out of it. But honest to God, we're definitely excited. I'm glad it's towards the end of the season. It gives us something to work towards. A good opponent is always something that we look forward to as the team. But generally, there's not really a team that really puts any fear into us per se. We go into each series, pretty well prepared with the same mindset. just to play the best league that we can. And I think that's served us pretty well so far.
Awesome.
Speaking of which, you are like, we talk about this all the time in the Discord and on the cast. You're on BBC. They're one of the top 3 teams. It's really hard to kind of determine which of these teams is going to actually end up taking that number 1 slot.
Right.
There are people who say that BP is looking like the favorite in this field. I'm just curious. Is BP one of those teams that your team, spends a lot of effort and time preparing for, despite the fact that, Horizon, I believe that they might not even play in this league, right? Until playoffs, if I'm
like
mistaken.
the last weeks, I'm pretty sure it was like one of our last games.
Week.
Yeah, literally.
Right. So like, how much time are you even dedicating to a team that you're not even going to play towards the end of the series or end of the league?
I mean, we're not stressing about it. I'll say that right now. It's generally, like I said, we're just taking it 1 week at a time. Each team, give them, the same amount of dedication and practice. There's really not any individual players that scare us too much. Obviously, there's a lot of talk around Death Star, the mid laner over there, but I think Seafield would low-key make it a pretty competitive match, and I'll leave it at that. But the rest of the lanes are obviously pretty even, if not favored, in the BBC role, so I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue either way, but I'm definitely looking forward to playing them, that's for sure.
Awesome.
Final question for me. Obviously, you guys have talked about the amount of the practice that you're getting in. You've talked about the reps against top teams. Just a little bit of a moment reflection, because I think you can take a little bit. I think you're safe now to maybe reminisce a little bit. Obviously,
sure.
Kind of a little bit, not necessarily the longest season in the world right now, especially because y'all have already played the majority of your games. But if you would sum up y'all's season as far as how it's gone right now, how would you summarize it?
As expected, personally, especially with the Bonanza tournament that we had a couple months prior. The team has just been really sound from the start. Everyone seems to care a lot about the end goals and the objectives of the day. No one's out here slacking, not putting in the time, not putting in the work. It's a very easy role for me to slide into and just start playing my best league. And I will never be able to take that for granted on another team, that's for sure. BBC has definitely got it locked down.
Follow-up question to that. You guys are defending champions. Is there any added pressure knowing that you've got a really good team in your division coming for the crown?
I think it's going to be a great series to watch. I'm excited for all the people in Twitch chat that are going to be able to witness that. But I think it's going to be our best league that we played for sure. And I think everyone should watch it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me think of just reminisce about finals in the last tournament. I wish that could have been a better series.
Oh, God. Don't get me started, man.
It's okay, though. It's okay. BP will avenge me.
That's right.
My spirit.
That's right. We'll make it a damn good series. I'm excited, man. It sucks we did not get our 5, but you know what? We'll make do. I appreciate y'all.
Awesome. Well, Blackmage, unless you have anything else, I'm all asked out of questions for now.
That's all I got.
Awesome. Well, hey, we want to thank you so much for giving us the time for the interview. I appreciate you guys. Fantastic series. Congratulations. Go celebrate with your team, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys play out the rest of your season.
Will do, man. Thank you guys so much for casting, as always.
Absolutely.